Welcome to the Power and the Pain, where your past isn't your prison.
It's the fuel for your purpose.
I'm Greg Pihs, combat veteran, NLP trainer, and your guide to turn trauma into triumph.
And I'm Catherine, truth teller, mirror holder, and voice for the breakthrough hiding in your breakdown.
This is the Power and the Pain. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Power and the Pain. We left off last week talking about black swans, blind spots, and we talked a little bit about inside of like personal relationship, like spouse. Mm-hmm. And we can definitely talk more about that. But I even want to talk about like everyone's blind spots. We all have them. And because we're blind to them, we're not aware of them, but everyone has them. And then, so like, there's like, we can look at a couple different angles here. A, how do we identify our blind spots? And B, how do we operate in a world full of people that have blind spots? Mm. So like, let's talk about it in terms of a vehicle. Like, I suppose, I don't know if every vehicle has blind spots. I suppose maybe, but well, there's larger vehicles, we're going to have large blind spots. If everyone drove vehicles with large blind spots, we would have to figure out how to operate in a way where we didn't collide in those blind spots. And metaphorically, we all drive vehicles with blind spots. Okay. So, identifying them for other people and like, how do we operate inside of them? I think the first, let's talk about, have you done any studies like Claire Graves at all?
I'm not familiar with that.
Okay. I think Claire Graves is like, this study's been, several people have redone it, if you will. But I believe that he was the first one to quantify this, and they used color codes to talk about how humans have evolved since being on the planet. And we'll kind of like power through it. And like at the first level, all we cared about was food, procreation, shelter.
Got you.
And to say cared about, like, because we say, oh, that's all, we didn't care about anything. Nothing, like that was such, like I was telling my wife the other day, like we were eating a salad at the house, and I was like, it's crazy to think that once upon a time, as soon as you finished your last bite, your highest priority was finding your next bite. Mm. Like the highest priority, you'll die. You have hours to find the next bite.
Yeah.
So like nothing else matters. And like we understand it, right? We're like nothing else. But like now I can eat my brother. Mm. Now I can procreate with anybody. Because like nothing, like I might be gone in a couple hours. If I can leave a seed, let me try. Mm. So like nothing else mattered. All right. Well, as we evolve, we start figuring out how to use tools. We become more efficient. We have more food. So that priority becomes lower. And then we evolve and we go into like a hierarchy of like tribal mindset. Let's find safety in numbers and hierarchy and belief structures. And our first belief structures were like superstitious. Like someone went out the cave and everyone touched the rock, but Bob didn't. Bob didn't make it back. We have to touch the rock now. We didn't know how else to believe. And then we go into, in our next phase of evolution, it's like the warrior mindset. I want to lead, I want to conquer, I want to have my own tribe. And so we branch out and then we get into, the next level, we get into, structure, systems, because in the level prior, that warrior mindset, it's kind of like the Wild Wild West, like me against them. So then we evolve into like structures and rules and like, how do we do it? How do we play the game? How do we play fair with each other? And then eventually we evolve into, more of like an entrepreneurial mindset. Like, so, okay, I learned the rules and I understand how we want to operate. And then how can I slip between the rules? And in that phase, that's where we That's our like entrepreneurial industrial era. That's where we generate money or affluence. And only after we have affluence do we have the luxury and whatever level of affluence, but enough that all of our basic needs are taken care of. And not like barely, but like we know comfortably all our needs are taken care of. That's the first time in life self-actualization even begins. Because prior to that, you have needs that have to be met or you might not be here for X amount of time longer. So self-actualization doesn't that's a luxury. So now if we start looking at blind spots, if you can see their blind spot and they can't, that's your luxury. You have advanced to a place where they're not even able to have awareness yet. What are your thoughts? I can tell like the wheels are turning all over. Let's talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because it sounds like, you know, when you mentioned the black swan concept last time, that was new to me. And so even like what I looked at when I looked it up, because I looked it up, some of what came up was kind of that concept of like Confucius, where it's like there are known unknowns and then there are unknown unknowns. And so, you know, that concept of there are some things that we can both see that are the same. And then there are things that you can see that I can't see, or things that I can see that you can't see. And then there are things that neither of us can see.
100%.
And so I think that it's, you know, it's interesting to hear it in the terms of like self-actualization, because I think that there is the individualism, and then also that the collective piece of like, we need each other to be able to see these blind spots.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, because, well, needing each other to see them, and then even like, which this gets a little bit further in depth, but also like the realization of we definitely need each other to see them, because if I'm blind to it, someone can't show me. And then, but I'll take this a step further of it's hard for. I'm still quantifying this. I'm still like, okay, I'm only at where I'm at in the journey, but I can remember back when it's hard to, when you can see it for the person and you show them, and then they still like, maybe they still can't see it, or maybe they don't do anything about it. And you're like, I've shown them. If let's just pretend for a second, like, let's say you've achieved, in Graves' model, I think the colors are beige, purple, red, blue, orange, green. So let's say you've made it to this green level. Let's just suppose, right? And someone's in their red, which is that warrior mindset. And then you try to give them the steps from the green level. Well, they still have blue and orange to go through. So like they have to see it from, how does it, like we can't give it to them from over here. So what we're showing them a lot of times, or I'm speaking for myself in the past, we're showing them from our level, but can we remember what it was like to be back at that level, and how do we get to see it?
Yeah.
So we definitely need each other. And then the realization, because I know, again, projecting here from in my past experiences and even where I'm at now, the idea of like, yeah, but I told them.
Well, and then that though, if they don't want to hear it, then they're not available for it.
Not available. Go ahead.
And well, and so then also like, I'm curious about this, and you know, cause my I guess my question is, where is do they need to invite that you share this? Because when you were talking about you and your wife, you know, you guys have an agreement that says, hey, if you see something, I want to know, but if it's just somebody, maybe even if it's a friend, there are often times that like, I'll say to people, I'm not inside your body. I don't know what's going on for you. And so like, I can only share what I can see, but that's from my perspective. And so like my perspective, I'm not saying that my truth is the truth. It's just what I see. And so like approaching with curiosity feels like, and I think I said that there was a question in there, but I don't think I actually asked a question.
Well, listen, you made me like, I heard a question.
Okay, great. Yay.
So, let's talk a little bit about, let's make comparisons here for what I'm doing inside my house. And then how does this apply in other, okay. So again, agreement, right? But my wife and I, now she is also trained in NLP. She's chosen that herself. And so we have a certain level of understanding around psychology and trauma triggers. And so whatever level, like, and let's also talk about this real quick. When I say like, if you're green, you may be predominantly operating in green, but there's just an exceptional chance, or you may be predominantly operating in orange. Like I predominantly operate in orange. But why am I not in green? Well, I still have other things to heal in prior stages. So like we predominantly operate somewhere, but it doesn't mean that we've achieved that height of healing. We've achieved that height of awareness, but not necessarily healing. Okay. So if my wife sees my blind spot or I see her blind spot and I mention to her, hey, you're doing this thing. Hey, I don't like this. And no, I don't. Okay. So then we both know, like, there's no point in arguing. Like we understand that, like if the other person, like we're not jerking each other around. So if the other person doesn't think they're doing it, the agreement is now that because this is my person, I'm going to do my absolute best to figure out how do I get you to see it from where you are. Mm. That's because this is my person and we made the agreement. Am I responsible for that for other humans? Responsible? Absolutely no. Am I called to still serve other humans? Yes. So now when let's look at it outside in friends or even acquaintances or random people we meet even. I think it is valuable to invite them into awareness. And I'm aware, like I want to help as many people as I can. And I understand that they have to hear it from the voice they have to hear it from. So then let's go a step further. Okay, I meet someone, they have a blind spot, I invite them, they don't accept it. Well, a couple episodes back, we talked about boundaries. This is where I think we insert boundaries and determine what does that boundary look like. And we talked about the level. You did. I loved how you elaborated on boundaries. Can you recap it a little bit from the book you had? Was it colors or was it?
It was a stoplight.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good.
And actually, at that point, I was thinking about that. And, that's like the communication of boundaries with another, not necessarily, you had, brought it back to like the first is us setting it with ourselves, and so I think that that's a good noting of like, oh, hey, this is maybe a place that I have to have a boundary because the boundary is how I love you and me at the same time.
Well, and even in like setting the boundary, and again, I love that stoplight because at the first level when you shared that, and I'm not sure if you had intended to imply, but for me, like at the first level, it was going inside.
Yeah.
And so in that situation, like going inside and letting yourself like, am I willing to tolerate this for this person?
Yeah.
Maybe the answer is yes, but if the answer is no, like we have to understand inside it's like, I'm not willing to tolerate that. And then of course, sharing with that person. Boundaries can look like simply letting them know, hey, let's say someone is, they're always yelling. They're like, no, I don't. And they don't realize this. They're a little, and so boundaries might be letting them know like, hey, when we speak and your volume raises, now I'm not accusing you of yelling. We just took it objectively. When we speak and your volume raises, I'll remind you, but I want us to keep the same tone out of respect for each other. So now we're not accusing them of yelling. They can't see that they're yelling. Fine, they're not yelling. So this is that like secondary level of boundary. This is that like, hey, communication with the other person. And then ultimately it comes down to if they cannot respect that, and you've invited them for awareness, now it really goes down to controlling your environment. And sometimes it's really like, sometimes that's your boss or, you know, whatever the case may be. And I didn't say it was easy, but nonetheless, like, let's look at like, let's say it's your boss and you're like, I can't, well, you can't what? What does 10 years from now look like with whatever your decisions are?
Yeah.
Like whatever decision you make and whatever you go through, what does 10 years from now look like? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think a big thing is realizing having compassion. It's very easy. Again, I'm projecting from my journey. It's very easy for us to, which actually in Claire Graves, it would be in the blue. So we go from red to blue, so that warrior mindset to the systems. So in blue, we determine what's right and what's wrong. We have like a code for everything, rules for everything, which is good for human evolution. And a vast majority of humans exist in blue. And in blue, we are, it creates, just because someone's in this level does not mean that this is them. But this level can create self-righteousness. So, not that I've ever done this. I don't know where I'm getting this projection from. I've definitely done this. And the idea is like, I'm doing the right things. They're not. They're wrong. So us against them, right versus wrong. Go ahead.
Well, okay. So if we're in that self-righteousness, in that blue phase, and then see somebody doing something, and then that approach is, well, I'm doing it right, they're doing it wrong, then I can see how there could be maybe some resistance, like on the other side, you know, being in either role of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now a lot, like you spoke a minute ago, and you know, you've have whatever level of awareness, but you said a moment ago, you highlight like when you're sharing with someone, you're like, hey, I'm not saying this is the truth. I'm just sharing this is my truth. So like you have the awareness that this is what I know up till now.
Right.
A lot of us, like, because we don't want to be bad people inherently. So we want to do the right thing. So we believe like we're doing the right thing. And if everyone else is not doing what we're doing and we're doing the right thing, then they must be doing the wrong thing.
Yeah, in a very black and white world.
In a very black and white world. Yeah. It's in that phase. It can be hard. It can be hard. And in that phase now we all have blind spots, but one of the blind spots is like in that phase, you're doing the best you can with what you have right now.
I think we're doing that in all phases.
In all phases, 100%. But the blind spot in that phase is. So like, this isn't right, but this is the best choice with the information I have.
Yeah.
Mark Manson said he wrote the book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. It's a great book to read. He said in 500 years, they'll understand truths we never understood, and they'll still be wrong. They'll still be wrong. We're not right. Like, we just know what we know up until now. Once upon a time, we burned women for being witches. We called women, and I'm talking about women, but we can go all different groups. We didn't let women vote. We called women whores for wearing lipstick. We enslaved black people, but even go before that, Egyptian times we enslaved people. Let's go before that. We played soccer with our enemies' heads and had our kids cheer while we did it. And we were right the entire time. We will continue to learn how wrong we are in the future. Yeah, I got a little excited talking about that. But blind spots, these, like, the awareness is like, instead of like thinking like, I don't have any blind spots, like, we all have blind spots. So when I meet other people that have them, how much compassion can I have for their blind spot And how much backbone can I have for my boundaries and do it all with love? Love them enough that they're not judged. Love myself enough that I get the boundary.
Yeah. I love the
That's
intention of it too, because I think that, that especially if we're talking about like, if we're in a phase of self-righteousness, then if it is done, like if it is an act of love, then that changes it out of self-righteousness.
Yes, yes, yes. And every level has their, like when I picked on the blue for a second, I mean, red, that's the warrior mindset.
Yeah.
Like that mindset, they will be, they're not accusing you of your blind spot because they saw your blind spot. Red essentially, and I'm going to make it sound bad, but it's a beautiful phase to go through. Red is exploiting you because it found your blind spot. And red will just not admit their blind spot. Red is like, I'm amazing. It's not necessarily ego. It's more warrior. And we can look at red as like, whoa, I'll never do that. If you never do red, you'll never stand up for yourself. We don't want to get lost in red, but if you never do red, you'll never stand up. The red is the warrior.
And is it always like in this hierarchy in a vertical?
Well, okay. It's more, let's think of it as a spiral. Think of it as a spiral verse. Okay. And it's in an order or a hierarchy based on once upon a time. Like I went to green. It actually goes a little bit. It actually goes up. Claire Graves quantified this in 9 colors, which the next 3 get like way abstract out of where we're at. So I didn't even cover in those. But in the future, we'll find out about the 10th. So like these are only in a hierarchy because once upon a time, like human evolution, we had more awareness as we went. Once upon a time, we started all the way back here at beige. But where we're at right now in the future, we'll learn.
Okay.
So as a hierarchy in terms of how us as a species, as a whole entire species came to awareness, that's the hierarchy. Individually, we're wherever we are in the awareness of things. And obviously a majority of that is programmed from childhood.
Yeah.
In childhood, like if we're told, like, if we see, to say told, if we experience like whoever's the loudest wins, we'll do good in the warrior mindset. If we see in childhood, like constant sacrifice because we don't want to mess, we'll do real good in the blue. If we see, the orange is like the entrepreneurial, the orange is like, let's talk shit on the orange now. The orange is like, the orange breaks the rules. But in order to break the rules, like the orange understands the rules. So like the orange went through the blue. So it understands what the rules are and how it can break them. It's not actually about breaking the rules as being a rebel, but more so as you said, don't wear a red shirt in here. I'm wearing a red hoodie.
Bending the rules, not breaking them.
And it's not for rebellious. It's not for like, that's the warrior mindset to rebel. That's the red. This is for, it is cold. So logically I'll protect myself and I'm going to appease what you wanted. I'm not here to fight you, but like, let's think outside of the box. So like orange is where all innovation comes from, all new creations, and it can sound like a great place, and it is. This is where we access our, this is when we allow cash flow in our life. We're innovators, we're bending the rules. And then the flip side is like orange is insatiable. It is never, ever enough. But orange isn't like, again, remember red is like me against them, or me against them. Blue is us against them. Orange is the first one. Like, I really want to create community. Not to say that they're great at it. Once we get into green, we become a lot better at actually creating community. But orange is like, let's all do this. Let's figure out how, like, okay, there's a set of rules, but how do we all be happy and make sure the rules are hit? And then how do we all create happiness? And how do we create something that didn't exist yet in that orange? So I forget how we got too far into those. But nonetheless, each one, I picked on blue a little bit. Each one has their blind spots. Like orange has blind spots in, like orange will, on the extreme, orange will convince themselves that they're still doing the right thing and following the rules, and they might be well past what would be prudent. And then that becomes a blind spot. And they're like, no, I'm doing it for the betterment of everyone. This is community. And you're like, we went a little too far. So, all the sections have their blind, like when you meet the people that are very business and like so business oriented, they're successful. And if they didn't do this, they wouldn't be as successful in business, but like they might be cold in relationships or might come off as rude. And to them, they think they're the nicest person in the world. And like, you wouldn't convince them any different. Like if you're telling like, hey, you're that was a little harsh. They would be so confused. They'd be like, what do you mean? I told them this information. I wasn't rude. I didn't tell them they were wrong. I'm helping them. And it's like, yeah, maybe you are, but like you could be a little more gentle. Again, all these blind spots. So wherever we exist, we got blind spots. So for ourselves, how do we identify our own blind spots? We've talked about it before, the community, getting in communities. And it's not about someone pointing out your blind spot. Maybe you get that gift, but it's literally about you seeing other ways of thinking and then going, oh my gosh, I can do that. I didn't even consider it before because it was an unknown.
Yeah.
Just getting to hear these conversations. You guys listening right now are having your own aha moments. You're having light shed on your own blind spots. What's your thoughts, Catherine?
I think it took me a long time to admit that I had unknowns and blind spots. And so I'm very grateful now to say that.
Yeah.
Because it's like to hold your breath and like have this. But again, at that time, that was like, oh, I need to, I don't know. I don't know what the thought was, but there was some like, I need to just have it together or, have these things. And now to recognize it's like, oh, I want to evolve. I want to grow as a human. And so I'm grateful. I do look at it as a gift if somebody, now, I mean, I think I'm more open to it with certain people because of the relationship that is
energy,
there.
Yeah.
But when somebody does that, I can approach it with curiosity instead of just being like, oh, why would they say that?
Yeah. Are they attacking me? Yeah. Yeah. And the energy matters. Like, I love that you called attention to that. Like it doesn't, we won't be able to. I was actually, I just a little flash. I was doing this class the other day where I was talking about like, if you want to, this was about in sales, related to sales, but like, if you want to get someone's attention, one of the things you can do is create awareness for their problem. And when I say create awareness, if I'm going to help people with people pleasing and I were to say something like, I might say something like, are you a good person? Do you always care for others and make sure they're taken care of? And do you just wish the rest of the world would treat you the same? When that's read, it's like, oh, this guy gets it, right? And the only reason I get it because I've done the program before. Okay. Whereas, so now they're going to be open, and whatever I share, it's like, well, let me try it out. But if I came and I said, you really shouldn't care what people think, and you should do this, it's an immediate like that's the jam, but that's the actual jam, but like we can't even hear it. So trust yourself. And I use the term energy, but like the relationship, if it doesn't feel good, there's nothing wrong. Like keep connecting in different places, and there's people that you're gonna connect with, and they're gonna share that message in such a loving way, and it feels great. And it's important to say that because thinking back on my journey, there was a time where I was very like, I couldn't handle rejection. Like, you're rejecting me. You're telling me I'm not good enough.
Yeah.
Holy smokes. And like during that chapter, if you'd have told me these things, as much as I wanted them, like it hurt too much. And if you're somewhere near that chapter speaking to you, keep talking to people and just quickly move on when it's not your people.
Yeah.
Your people are out there. They will support you. They will hold space for you. They will help you.
Yeah.
So keep connecting and just quickly move on from not your people.
Yeah. I would say that maybe it's different, but for me, it didn't always feel good, but I can choose to see the gift in it because, meeting myself with that does allow me, in my opinion, to also hold that space for someone else to do it. When I've met myself with it, then I can be there to do that. And so when someone does the same for me, I'm like, oh, wow. It does take, because it doesn't feel great to always share that. So like to be able to be in that, I now can look at it as a gift,
And I think the further you go, like first of all, like, of course, some things are going to not feel good. Like anything could. And the further you go, like in NLP, there's this like saying, if you will, like everything is feedback. Okay. We kind of know that. But like when I really integrated it, like I literally I go back to like people have shared with me all the time, by the way, I got to give a shout out to Spread the Positive, but people have already reached out and said like how awesome this audio video quality is of this. Well, this is my second podcast. If you go on the YouTube channel, there's Success After Trauma is the first one. And if you scroll all the way back to the first one, like the audio is horrendous and there's a blank wall behind me. Like horrendous. I went ahead and did it, and like people literally like, oh my gosh, your gain's too loud. Oh, you do this. Oh, you do that. I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's feedback. And then obviously evolve. The more you can open yourself up to like, we're not listening exactly to what others, like if they say you shouldn't wear that shirt, I'm not going to not wear this shirt, but I want to evaluate what was it that they saw on a shirt that was distasteful.
Yeah.
The more we can just accept feedback, like you shouldn't wear this shirt is feedback, and then me go inside and quantify like what does that feedback mean?
I love that. And I guess I also like in mine, I used to have a strong need to be offended. So I think that people maybe it was a self-fulfilling prophecy, you know?
Yeah. It is weird how we definitely, I mean, I was last night when you said that, this memory, like last night, I realized, we have these downloads sometimes, I realized how motivated I am when I'm hurt. And like, I won't say I need hurt, but like last night it was a real like eye opener. Like hurt is an immediate motivation for me. I wish it wasn't. And like with that information, I have to harness it and utilize it. But it's to say weird. I mean, it is what it is, but yeah, sometimes we kind of need certain emotions that in the future we no longer.
I was kind of curious, like, you say neurology, I say nervous system, same thing, but like how that in the colors, how some of the, the patterning that we have had that, our mindset can do one thing, but like our body may tell a different story. And so if even some of those higher color classes, for lack of a better, that's my understanding of them. How it may almost like take longer to go into the next thing because of that.
100%. That is literally it. And we end up, we can have awarenesses into that next color. And so we can begin operating from it. But until we immerse and model that new neurology, we'll still like teeter back and forth to the old neurology. Yeah. And it's hard. Like think about this too. We'll actually we'll wrap this one up here. But I think you're gonna have something to share to this. So I want to give you an opportunity. Personal evolution, is the hardest thing we'll ever do, because if you if we just real quick flyby look at these colors again, they constantly flip flop from sacrificial to expressive. So in purple, which is like, there's no beige left. I mean, I don't think there's any, but there's purple left still in like little pygmy tribes and stuff like that. In purple, we sacrifice for the tribe, no matter what. I mean, humans get sacrificed, children, like no matter what. In red, we're expressive. We sacrifice for no one. In blue, we sacrifice as a community.
Okay.
We'll do good now for a payment later.
Yeah.
In orange, we're expressive. I want to figure out how to break the rules, right? So here's the thing. Every time we evolve, like red, the warrior mindset, couldn't be more opposite from purple. And blue comes after red. It couldn't be more opposite from red. So human evolution is so hard, and a lot of people evolve once and think they figured it all out, because to evolve again, you have to go back to where you were, and it's a weird flavor. And when you evolve out of 3 and you were like, and you go to 4 and you're like, hey, let's do the piece now. And then you learn at 5, we got to break the rules again. No, that must be bad. I had to leave that. And so this is why human evolution is like so hard, just quantifying that. Go ahead. Put it on us.
Well, because that's like, I look at it as, expansion and contraction, but now, also recognizing that sometimes when it feels like going back into contraction, it's actually like that next level. And so there's something new with all of it, instead of just being like this all the time, Oops, sorry. Another shout out to our STB sorry about the mic hit there.
Yes. So everyone listen, and we'll do another, maybe we'll dive deeper again and a little bit more into those levels and color systems. But just creating that awareness that sometimes it feels like you're going back, but that is actually forward. That's why earlier we talked about it. It's a spiral. If we look at a spiral, if we look at it as stairs, we see this as a whole nother level. But if we look at it as a spiral, we're going to keep coming back to the last place, and the spiral obviously raises as we spiral around it. Excited to share that with you guys today. We're going to be back with another episode next week, and next week we're diving into a really cool topic. We're going to talk about fake it till you make it. That's going to be a good one. I'll see you guys next week.
If this hit you deep, trust that.
Your pain has power, and your story isn't over.
Follow, share, and send this to someone who you think might benefit.
I'm Greg.
And I'm Catherine.
And this was The Power in the Pain. Keep stepping into your power.